YouTube. I think we're good. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sticking with us through this madness. Lordy. A little Billy Snipes with some Texas Island country going on. Let me get a good double check here. See if we are live on YouTube. We are. Welcome everybody to the On and Off Island Moon live channel. Brought to you by Technical Difficulties. Jeez. Yeah. No, say that again.
Sometimes we work, sometimes we just sit around and look at each other.
I know, yeah. Well, we keep it on island time here. You're back on Island Moon Thursday, where we talk about everything going on Padre Island. You're back on Island Moon Thursday, where we talk about everything going on Padre Island, Port A, Flower Bluff, and the Coastal Bend. So we haven't had you on in a while, Frank. Have you built any buildings since we had you here?
Finished one, I don't know, about 6 months ago. I've got two now that are. What happened? There you go. There you go. All right, I've got two now that are in the, coming down the pike
In the
right
bluff?
now. I'm developing some of the property there at SPID and NAS Drive. I'm also developing another property at the corner of Talmadge and SPID. I've got another one in the works on Williams.
Man, so how many property tax checks are you writing to the man?
Well, I got the one for my house here on the island.
Yeah.
Okay. And
They lowered your value, right?
No, they didn't. And you know what's mind blowing is I got a lot. I posted on my Facebook that we were getting taxed out of our homes and we don't have any water.
Right.
Those are two separate things that need to be addressed. Right. You guys probably know more about the water situation than I do because I feel like I try and concentrate on things I can control in my life, and that's just something I can't control. So I just take bits and pieces of what I hear on the news and hear friends talk about,
Yeah.
But I feel like, as it stands right now with the water situation, and it's a horse that's been beat to death, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, we only have two options. You either drill wells in the country or you do desal, one or the other. That's it, okay? And, if you drill wells in the country, you upset people out there because
That's kind of what we're doing.
You're taking their water, And if you put in a desal plant here, well, the people that are environmentalists and people that are upset with that, they have a problem with it too. So someone at the end of the day is going to be upset.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I feel like nobody wants to risk their political career over the call. Nobody wants to make the call. That's why we're here.
Yeah, the water fights are, they can get vicious because the stakes are so high.
Well, think about it this way.
It's generational.
Think about it back in the day, okay? Whether you believe in COVID or not, whether you got the shot, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. But at the end of the day, I remember when Barbara Canales shut down the beach, right?
Yeah.
Okay. She took the information she had. Whether some people have an opinion or whatever, but she's a pretty smart lady. I mean, she is, very, very, very intelligent person. And, she made a call. People are dying. Mm-hmm. We need to shut it down, and she did. And hold on a second. But people got upset with her, right? And they turned her into this villain because she made a hard decision, and it had to be made. And I feel like the people that got upset with her, in reality, have never made a hard decision in their life. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes there's a decision that needs to be made where there's going to be a loser. Either way you go.
Yeah.
And it takes leadership to get that done. And that's what needs to be done. But again, like I said, nobody wants to get crucified, make a call that's going to upset somebody, and end their political career, hypothetically.
Well, as we move down through the tax season, what I'm hearing is that everybody went up about 10%.
Oh, it's
Which is the maximum they can go in a year.
okay. Well, I think, in other words, what you pay goes up by 10%, correct?
Right.
Not the actual value.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. I have a piece of property on NAS Drive, okay? I went and fought the taxes. I sat there before the board, and the gentleman sitting next to me that was with the county looked me in the eye, and me and the board and I, and said, property on NAS Drive is worth more money per square foot than property on SPID in Flower Bluff. He said that with a straight face. I'm not kidding. Okay.
Oh.
And I looked at him and I said, "Do you know where Flower Bluff is? Have you been there? Have you toured our city? Do you know where I'm talking about?" He said, "Yes, I do." And I said, "Okay, so There's a property a stone's throw away from mine on the same road that is listed for sale for $2 a foot. It's been for sale for 3 years. It hasn't sold. So at a minimum, it's not worth $2 a foot, because if it was, it'd be gone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's not sold. So I don't understand how you can come up with $7 a foot. And so we went around and around and around and basically didn't get anywhere with them. Okay? I think the taxpayers, I know the friends and family that have called me and said, hey, I got 2 calls today. Say, hey, man, what are you doing about your taxes? Can you help me? Who are you using? Whatever. And I said, I don't use anybody. I go down there myself. I've used different people in the past, but at the end of the day, I think that if you do your homework and your due diligence, and you take pictures and you get real comps, you can accomplish more, and you're patient and you have the time, you can accomplish more, than doing that. One thing I found odd is that the day I got this, Wednesday, number one, my property where I live, my homesteaded property, doubled in value in 5 years. You call any real estate investor anywhere on this planet that we live on and tell them if they'll take that deal, and they would take it in a second.
Oh, yeah.
In a minute, okay? Number two, they have, and it's all this is just public information, right? I can look up, I can Google I just put your name in, my name in, whatever. It doesn't make any difference. My house is on the tax rolls for like $1.5 million, okay? Do I think it's worth that? Absolutely not. Okay, but then I went down the wormhole, I got online, and I think the Appraisal District's website is a very powerful website, right? You can go on there and find out
I use it all the time.
anything you
Yeah.
want, right? Okay. So I told my wife, I said, we need to sell this thing because I don't know much, and at the end of the day, I can go pay cash for a house somewhere else and
Yeah.
be done with it. Why would I sit here and just, I'm 54, I'll be 55 next year. In 10 years, my taxes could be $45,000 a year, $25,000 now. So why would I keep it? It's not a good financial decision to keep it, right? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I started looking in town, and I found a few places I liked. And it was odd to find a house in town. Doesn't matter where it's at, but it's in town. It's on. It's listed for about $2 million. Okay. I can't afford that. Don't want that. I'd be back in the same boat I'm in now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
However, I took the liberty of looking it up on the tax rolls, and the Appraisal District has it out there at $950,000. So the crazy part about all that is, so their house is on the tax rolls for $950,000, but they want $2 million. Does that mean my house is worth $3 million?
Well,
Exactly.
If they sell it for $2.5 million, then it'll go on the tax rolls at $2.5 million, because that'll be the fair market
But
value.
you understand what I'm saying? So this is an open challenge to any realtor listing. Bring me a bring me a $1.6 million buyer from my house, and I will write you a check for $100,000.
One of the issues we've always had on the island with valuations is we have constant comps because our real estate turns over. So there's some blocks in town where you may not have a house sell for 2
Okay,
or 3 years.
well-
Out here, there's a house that sells on every block just about every year. So that becomes our comp. It happened to me. A house down the street just sold for way more than my house is worth, but now that's going to become my comp.
Okay, well, here's my argument with that. If there's a piece of property I bought in Flower Bluff for $50,000.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a half acre. All right, and they come in at some crazy figure, and I asked the guy. I said, "Well, can you show me a comp? Can you show me what you used to come up with this figure?" He says, "Sure," and he shows me these properties that sold 3 years prior during COVID when prices were higher than they've ever been in the history we've been on this miserable planet. And they used those figures, not today. He says, well, I can go back 3 years. I said, well, I understand that, but 3 years ago, things were crazy. How about today? Just today, I'm curious. I'm sure there's somebody out there that has this answer. But I would say, I think, I can't remember what the figure was, but 3 years ago, 4 years ago, during COVID, and COVID was crazy, and, real estate was hot, and
Everybody had to stay home.
yeah, exactly. Everybody was a realtor, right? Everybody's a real estate expert. How many of them are in business today? How many of them are realtors today when things are hard? How many people are gone?
That's a good question. We're going to get back to that and more with Frank De La Rosa when we come back. Everybody, hold fast. All right. And And apparently, the internet is holding, so people can still watch on Island Moon Live.
gerbils are still.
We're gonna need this. A friend of mine was telling me that we talk every morning, right? He says you need a podcast. It's going to be called the Frank De La Rosa Tabernacle of the Truth.
I like it.
Branding, yeah.
Doesn't really roll off the tongue real fast.
Yeah, be a long business card.
There you-
But
yeah,
anyways,
So how much you want for Case Hole?
There is
Bit
a
appraised it.
the program was looking at another piece of property out there on the island and talking about things that are just appraised way too high for what it is.
Our
it's-
comps, we've always had this problem because we just have constant comps because if nothing sells in your block, they have nothing to compare you to. But even now, when real estate's relatively slow, we're still having sales.
Sure.
We're not having a lot of building going on. We kind of filled up. Not a lot of lots left until something happens.
Mine's
at the
available.
ski basin.
I've got an empty lot next to my house and my house. Bring me a check. Let's go.
You know, that's what's selling. That's what I'm hearing is houses with
People
a lot
getting out.
next door.
Oh yeah, and then
People
they,
want-
Yeah.
they blow up the house
I
next
was
door.
called. Somebody called me. I got into this argument with somebody about property taxes. I was called. Are you ready for this? A coastal elitist.
Oh, that's a new one.
Coastal
Because-
elitist?
Yes,
He uses
because
words I can't spell.
exactly. I'm like, dude, I have a 10th grade education. I'm a high school dropout. I just used a lot of common sense and built my house when I thought I should and paid for things the way I thought I should. And I was frugal with my money and I surrounded myself with people that are I made sure I was the dumbest guy in the room everywhere I went.
Yeah.
And it's better that way. Life is better that way.
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
people
Like
like
you want to own the smallest house in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When you surround yourself with dumb people, people do that all the time. You know, they surround themselves with dumb people to feed their ego. I don't like that. I'd rather be the dumb guy just sitting there listening. You know what I mean, and learning.
You know, I think I had Brian McCabe just got hired as the taxpayer liaison office. He's in my office yesterday. In fact, he wrote a column for the Moon, and it's a kind of a thankless job, but he's an ombudsman is the way I would describe it. When you go down there to like you're doing it yourself, he won't argue your case, but he can tell you what the rules are. Gives you a place to start.
Interesting.
Bob Maupin used to do that. He lived out here. He did it for years. And he also wrote a column for us, and it's kind of the same thing. Because the rules, they haven't changed that much over the years. It's highest and best use and comps. It's been that way since the 80s. True market value is what they're supposed to have. But it never, remember in 08 we had the bust, and our values went up 25%.
Oh, that was crazy.
So,
Yeah. All right. 10 minutes coming at you. Y'all ready?
yeah.
All right.
So we have one more segment after this.
Yes. This one's no, sorry. This one's 11 minutes 30.
Okay.
And then 9 minutes and 30. And we're back on Island Moon Live from our beautiful Waterline Studios. It's a gorgeous Island Moon Thursday. Nice little overcast weather, but a little breeze. It's great. Ted Mendel over there hanging out, the roadie extraordinaire. Tyler Thorson, Quinn Hendrick, Frank De La Rosa, Dale Rankin, and my name is Jacob Oggs. We're glad you're joining us. We've been kind of talking about, I think the word of the day is fair market value, right? Frank,
Yeah.
wouldn't you agree?
Well, you know, we were talking before we went to break there that, you know, how many realtors that were doing it in 20 and 21 are doing it today? How many left the playing field? Okay. I was just looking at the history of the price of my house. You know, I went back a few years from 20 to 21, I believe. It went from like 800,000 to 1.2 million, something crazy, right? 400,000.
Well, you're on the end of a fingertip with a view of the bridge. You got a good spot.
Well, but you don't pay for the view. The view's not taxable, is it?
It's reflected in the market price as people around you sell. That's what the realtors are emphasizing. So it's
So-
as you get closer to the end of a fingertip, the prices go up.
So-
I know that because I'm on the street end.
Well, I'm not on a fingertip. I'm on the other end. I'm at the dead end of a canal, to tell you the truth.
He's like the
Yeah.
back
Number
of a
one.
thumb, more
Number
like,
two, you know, we talk about waterfront property, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like when you get your CDL. If you get your CDL, you're at 26,000 pounds or over, but you could be at 26, right? Yes, I have waterfront property. However, there is a 60 foot of bulkhead there. My neighbor has 120 feet of bulkhead.
This would be twice the price.
He's got a lot more waterfront property
property,
than
yeah.
I do. Fair? They said, well, your lot's bigger. I said, well, because of the setbacks and the things that you guys impose on me, it's worth nothing. I can't do anything. My lot is odd shaped. It's shaped like a necktie. It's time to get it landscaped, right? It's not uncommon for a person to spend $200,000 bringing in trees, grass, shrubs, rocks, all the sprinkler system, everything that's involved, right? It's mind-blowing what it costs, okay? At a smaller house, you have curtains. In those houses, you have window treatments. It's different,
Right.
okay? Window treatments in a house like that could cost you $50,000, $60,000.
I have gravel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So if I lived there, and for the past year I haven't been able to water my landscaping, and everything's dead. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't water it. Okay. So how do you keep increasing the value of my property when it's awful? Everything's dead.
So here's some of the fallout that's going on. One of the things we're referring to, if you're not aware, are those beautiful letters.
A business owner calls me. He says, "Why are you upset about your home tax?" I said, well, because I have to pay a lot of money every year.
and it's-
and he said, you know what he said? He says, I never argue with it because every time it goes up, it means my house is worth more money. I said, one doesn't have anything to do with the other.
It's an unrealized gain.
Exactly.
They're taxing me on money I don't have. That's the whole thing. And it goes back to one of the only things that California has done right recently is they put a lock on your property tax at the purchase value of the home. Now, when you sell, they'll get their pound of flesh.
That's the system we
But-
need to move to.
Yes, yeah.
Illinois does that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a good system.
well, and that's the whole thing. It's
But
like-
your city and your county don't like that.
No.
yeah.
They don't get to give their employees raises.
What-
They don't get an 8% increase
Every year.
Yeah.
And and you're talking about your home doubling in value in 10 years, well, if your taxes go up 8% every year, they double.
Who wouldn't
in 10
want that?
years.
Who
And-
wouldn't-
And so that demands back from the people that we put in office who want to spend that
Here's
money.
my gripe. Speaking of complete foundation repairs, we can't water. You can't water your foundation. Oh, you
Yeah.
can water it once every other moon on your recycle day. It's like,
Yeah.
no. You can see people's foundation pulls back from the
The
brick.
dirt, from the
yeah,
earth.
from the dirt, and that's just like, hey, I'm
Take a picture
stretching.
of that and take it to your tax
They
certificate.
don't.
Yeah.
They don't care about that. So
No.
then what do you do? So then now I've got cracks in my house, cracks in my wall, but oh well, that doesn't affect the price. Everybody's got those. I was like, no, we didn't have those till this happened. We can't water the foundation or
Right.
water your lawn or whatever.
Well, I think, I've been dealing with the tax system since the Pivotal Act in the early 80s. When I was the Bear Appraisal District in San Antonio. And in those days, the cities and the counties got 8% tax increase. The city goes 6.5% every year. They say it's not, but it is because we write the checks. And it's been that way now since 30 or 40 years. And everyone you talk to that's a professional in the tax appraisal business will tell you the system's broken. We had Gabi Hillpold on this show a few weeks
Yeah.
ago. She's on the board,
Yes,
She'll tell you.
and
Yeah.
she's on the appraisal district board, and she says the system is broken.
So let me ask you a question. So listen to this, right? So some of the buildings that I've built in the past they're very similar, right? And if you get an independent appraisal, banks when they go in there and they loan you money to build something, it's a random draw out of a hat to see who's going to appraise it, right?
Yeah.
Why is it that all of those different appraisers come in really close to the same figure?
What's the appraisal value? How much is the buyer willing to write a check for?
But
And
you understand
and
what I'm
if the-
saying? Though? Whatever formula
Yeah.
they're using, okay,
they're
like
all
it or
using
not.
the same one. Yeah.
Well, the appraiser wants the next job.
Well, but
If
still,
they come in low, they don't get a callback.
Regardless, even if they came in low or they came high, whatever. My point is, at a minimum, they're consistent. Okay, there's
Yeah.
no consistency with the system we have now. How can you say one property next door to the other, one is $7 a foot, one is $2 a foot, with a straight face?
Yeah.
I've been selling my whole life. Okay, I could not look a man in the eye and tell him that. It's preposterous. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard of.
You go down a certain drive by ESD number 2, and there's some houses there that are like you wouldn't want to be next door to. There was a guy that was nuts that had like foil hat stuff.
Talking about in the bluff.
Yeah, and So, but then you have somebody down the street that's got this Taj Mahal that looks over the, the King Ranch over there at the end of the road.
Which
So
one is going to be your comp?
the tinfoil guy with the cats and
Yeah.
the screaming kids? That's
Yeah,
what-
they wouldn't use the comp when I was fighting that property, and I said, well, where are you getting these comps from? And they showed me some comps that were 3 years old, and I said, well, I bought this one 3 years ago at the same time.
Yeah.
Why isn't my closing statement part of the 3 comps?
Yeah.
Fair question.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He just looked at me with a blank stare and says, well, I can go back 3 years. I said, well, I understand that, okay? So if you can go back 3 years, you're going back to when things were crazy, and now they're not. Why can't you just use 1 or 2 comps from 6 months ago?
So the
why
question
do you
is-
go back to when it was crazy?
Question is
Yeah.
whether he's trying to get a fair number or whether he's trying to maximize the value to generate more tax revenue.
I don't know. I know that every time. I remember the very, very, very first home I built on the island was in 90. Oh goodness, I want to say it was in 94. I paid $150,000 for the house, all in, all done on the water. No, I think I was stuck 200 with the deck and stuff. And the first appraisal came from the city at $333,000. I'll never forget that. And it freaked me out, and I had to file my homestead exemption. So I grabbed my stuff, I went down there, and I showed him my closing statement, what I paid for it or whatever. And long story short, the guy behind the counter immediately, he had the power, he had the authority to bring it down to 100 and whatever it was, 180. We got the deal done, no big deal. The last few times I've been there, the fellow that you're speaking to in an office there doesn't have the authority to
Yep,
bring it down
exactly.
very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did the same thing when I go to gripe about that stuff. You go, and what happens is you have an option of going like, well, I don't really want to go down there, so here, take what I get online. I took that, and they cut a little bit off, but not much.
Right.
Well, that's the whole thing. You, in some of these cases, you just got to keep on trucking. And if you're looking to get and do a new truck, you need that new F-250. You want a diesel. You want that 4-wheel drive. You need some new fleet vehicles.
He's got taxes
Go
to
talk
pay.
to Frank DeBank at Discount Motor Company. He's right there at 6601 SPID, right between Turner's and the movie theater. You can check their active inventory on discountmotorcompany.com. He will pay you $500 more than the big box store across the way. Don't go sit there and talk to someone who has to talk to their manager, who has to talk to their manager, who has to talk to their manager.
I buy them, I sell them.
Exactly. Go
right
talk
there.
to Frank DeBank. Frank wants to buy your vehicle. Go check it out. Discount Motor Company right there on SPID. It's worth going and talking with an honest businessman who knows what he's talking about. Save yourself some money. Talk to a real salesman, not one of those little fakies.
Fake.
Island Moon Live. Back in a little bit.
No Cadillac, no diamond ring, no Stetson hat. Come on, woman, where's the put me to use? Give me 6 brand new strings to sing the blues.
They buy them from Iron Planet.
Are they like National Guard?
She knows just
Yeah,
how
they're National Guard shows. Most of them are like
make me howl.
Well,
worth
that's,
what everybody
I know
will pay
everything.
for it.
I said, but at the end of the day,
It's worth what everybody
I know
will pay for
everything.
it.
I said, but at the end of the day, I said, it's what does it mean? Well, it's got a bad turbo. This time. Today it's worth nothing because it doesn't run.
Yeah.
Nothing. That's zero value.
Yeah.
Keep it. You know what I mean? But all those old Hummers have the dreaded Detroit 6.5 diesel. It's not turbo. Or it might be turbo. But they were very problematic at the time. Best case scenario is you take that motor out and make something else.
So those old Hummers, like that Humvee, like
They're $500. Not maybe $500 more.
and will they? How long will the motor run?
If I had that answer, I wouldn't be sitting with you.
I mean, are they robust or are they short term?
We put a 100-horse chip in it, and man, that thing was really waking it up. It was nice, right? And I got one the other day. It had the 100-horse programmer still in it. I drove it. I'm like, this is a dog compared to what you can buy now.
Yeah.
But these trucks now are. I tell people all the time. You have 90% of the people that drive the bolt stop.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
Yeah.
maybe you go like that and have a sandwich thing, pull out your sandwich and go like that.
Yeah.
you do that with a Tacoma.
All right. 9 minutes, 30 seconds. Y'all ready to fire it up?
The last segment.
Yep.
I guess we need to get the case hold then.
Yeah, you bet.
All right.
That is something that I think not very many people actually ever say.
Thank you,
tequila. Yes. So we're going to talk about Kate's Hole. It's a fishing spot, so get your mind out of the gutter. And if you want to know where it is, you can go to islandmoon.com. You can look at Quinn Hendricks' column that he wrote this week. And I put in a handy little map to show you. It's at the down
Mugshot and everything.
down off of the right, off of the base of Corpus Christi Bay. And you are really familiar with that area,
Oh,
Quinn,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Little bias. I like to spend a lot of time out there just fishing, as I think a lot of people do. It's tough to find it with no trucks out there.
Where
but yeah.
exactly is it?
So, if you're familiar with the Island in the Sun Church, the parking lot is maybe 100 yards before
Okay.
that. So there's the first, if you're heading north towards Port Aransas, the Packery Flats parking lot. A lot of times cleanups and things are hosted
Right,
there.
there's
but
one coming up there.
Yes,
this
sir.
weekend, I believe. Yeah.
But right off the road, so the Kate's Hole parking lot has a little bit longer of a caliche road.
Okay.
So it sticks you out
I've seen the
actually
road.
on the water.
So you're doing there's a restoration process going on there. We hear the word living shoreline getting thrown around a lot. And I'm actually a big fan. I'm a big supporter of any kind of refurbing in that manner. What is a living shoreline and what's the work they're doing out there?
Yeah, so a living shoreline is kind of like a natural way to rebuild and protect pieces of habitat. And here specifically, it's kind of geared more towards shoreline erosion. And so the water's just kind of creeping on that parking lot. It's a very popular spot, and so that's one of the things we want to protect is public access out here on the island.
So most people access it by driving down the road and they launch there, or they?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so a lot of kayakers will launch out of there. You can, get into the spoils and all those grass flats really quickly. A lot of times I'll just wade, just park and take off walking.
I used to go out on my SUP there a lot, and it's great. I mean, it's a big wide flat. The mangroves have come back from the
Yep.
freeze a few years ago, and so you're getting a lot more kind of stabilization there, which means clear water, which means better sight casting.
Yep, yeah, I've walked up on some good redfish up in there, gigged some flounder. It's just a really productive area.
It's a great spot because a lot of it was easy wading because there's a lot of sand there. But when you get the mangroves there, that's when you get the
Yeah.
A little sticky.
silty. Yeah, it gets
Well,
a little
and
sticky.
So not many people actually know the history behind why it's called Kate's Hole. And for those who don't know the old lingo and the way that it goes, back in the day, man, I wish we had Ernie Butler to tell the story. He's
Well,
always so
our,
great at that. But yeah,
Yeah.
our resident historian.
Yeah, Ernie. And
He's super old, Ernie, if you're listening.
But back in the day, commercial fishing was the huge industry down here, and there was a commercial fisherman who kept his wife and kids alive, just working every day like everybody else does. And he passed away. His wife's name was Kate, and so she took up the mantle and started commercial fishing. Well, everybody had their own territories, and people were using this to survive, and she had kids to support. So the local fishermen basically said, we're going to leave that to Kate because she was raising her kids off of that, and that was her work, and she took up the mantle and went. So it's really kind of a neat old story about the way that things used to be.
Yeah.
Maybe next time on next Thursday, I'll tell the story of Dead Man's Hole, and we'll
Yeah.
we'll get to that. But we've got Quinn Hendrick here talking. He's the communications manager or coordinator for
sir. Yeah.
Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries program. And an old friend, I do have to say as well. And congratulations on Malia. You got 6 months now? Almost 6 months,
Not
maybe?
quite, so she'll be 4 months.
Oh, okay,
here in a
wow,
couple
okay,
weeks.
yeah,
Yeah.
so-
Oh, I love that they're doorstops still. They can smile and they can't roll
Not
over
too
yet.
mobile. Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, yes, but sleep is always,
Yeah.
a commodity that isn't
Few and
widely
far
spread right
between.
now, yeah.
so you're
But-
doing a living shoreline, and what else?
So it'll be kind of like a 2-phase project out there. So the first step, which will be a really cool volunteer opportunity for folks to get involved with, is we're going to build a 300-foot oyster breakwater.
That's to sink your shucks.
Yes,
part.
sir. Yeah, so we're partnering with Sink Your Shucks out of the Coastal Conservation and Restoration Lab at HRI. And so they are going to kind of support the actual event. They've done similar events in the past. Of
When
just
is
kind of,
that? It has a date, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, June 6th.
June 6th.
Registration is now open. I think we've got like 30 or 40 spots left. We've also got some great partners at Poncho Outdoors helping us out with this. There are going to be some cool giveaways there. So it'll be a really fun event, a new one for us. And so we're going to kind of lean on Sink Your Shucks expertise as far as, organizing the volunteers, how to make things run smoothly.
So the goal is to stabilize the shoreline?
Yes, sir. Yeah, and so if you've been out there, it's a lot of times shin deep out there to where we're going to put the oyster breakwater. And so the next phase is we're going to come in and do a planting behind that with some spartina and other marsh vegetation to just kind of rebuild that area.
Is that part of? I was downtown having dinner with my wife, and there was somebody down there was talking about they're doing something with the oysters. They were doing something with the oyster shell. They were putting them somewhere. Is that the same thing?
Closely related. So the Sink Your Shucks, they rely on those restaurant recycled oysters.
I just saw a trailer out front of docks this morning.
Oh, they're busy every day running. I'll see them in Rockport. They're all over the place. But for this, we actually got our own shell. It is recycled, but it's from a producer, so it's not this restaurant recycled. They kind of already had that, tabbed for different events that they've got going on. So we got our own oyster shell, but it's local oyster shell that we're
That's why we
putting
don't
back in
see
the
any
bay.
more oyster shell roads.
I was digging,
Yeah.
so I had to dig underground utilities at one of the properties in the bluff, and I got down to about 5 feet, and I found like a layer of oyster
Yep,
shell.
Yeah.
that's my yard. Yeah.
Yep.
That's funny. Yeah, I did that was dropping post holes and had a two-man auger with me and my father-in-law. And sure enough, as soon as we hit what was the old driveway, here come all these oyster shells. And it's like, oh, whoa, that's crazy.
No,
Throw them in
that's
the
cool.
chicken coop.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, my dad was in the oil patch, and every oil well in this side of San Antonio had an oyster shell road. Cut up your tires on those things, but they get you there and get you out, but you don't see them at all anymore.
Well, that Portland Causeway,
Yeah.
back in the day was,
Yeah.
giant, 20-foot tall mound of oysters.
Yeah,
That's cool.
That's where I went.
So-
I went to high school and drive that all the time, and we even had them in our front yard. Like we use gravel, we use oyster shells.
Yeah.
So Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries program, y'all have a lot going on.
We do. Been a very busy year. Every year, more projects,
Yeah.
are added to the list. I think this fiscal year cycle is something around 56, 57 different
Oh, wow.
projects. And,
Yeah.
a wide scope of work from, public access, protect bollard installation, interpretive signage to big, $1 million construction
Funded
projects.
mostly through grants.
Grants, yes, sir. Yeah, so we're funded through the EPA TCQ, but then we've got a grant writer who is just phenomenal and seeks out a lot of family foundations, grant opportunities, and things like that. It's expensive, to do all this restoration work, and so that's
Thanks for the Oso Bay thing that you all got put together. Oso Bay Wetlands Preserve, they got $156,000 to continue the education part over there, which is great because it's like one of the best spots for kids to look at critters.
When
Oh,
you've
yeah.
got that, we've got the resource down here. Use it. That's one of the things that blows me away. At Flower Bluff, you can go to the oceans class. They'll teach you how to throw a cast net. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in Houston. They taught us to sharpen knives and reload pistols.
Yeah.
It's a complete. Like I want my kids growing up this way. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Yeah.
Well, and it's like, if you lose it, there's no getting it back. If it
That's a very
goes
good
to
point.
something else, and that's what a lot of habitat loss. Once it comes off of the
Yeah.
landscape, there's no reverting it back easily. That's not going to be super expensive.
So is there a big threat from commercial development? Obviously, with our I won't say the water word out loud, but with our kind of current progress as a city, are we seeing kind of a risk of losing some of these properties?
I don't know if it's necessarily an issue specific to Corpus, more so than just everywhere.
okay.
I mean, like, for example, that 35 corridor, used to be, driving through little towns, and now it's just habitat everywhere is just getting gobbled up.
Yeah.
And so it's not
We
necessarily
saw
an
the
issue.
loss of these right here where we're sitting. These spoil islands that were here. Harvey took them.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yes, sir.
came back when the tide dropped out a few weeks ago, but those were bird rookeries. We used to have a spoil island cleanup every year. There were 30 islands. Now there might be 2 left.
Yeah, and talking about other projects, that's, this Turn Island.
Yeah.
We do a lot of these kind of breakwater protections around these islands, and we prioritize them based on which ones are getting used most, and we're going to get the most, bang for our buck on them. But yeah, this one was nice because it got a lot of views. Usually we're, way remote areas,
Yeah,
but here right
that's
off the
true.
JFK Causeway, it
People
provided a
been
good
seeing
opportunity
those-
to talk about it.
The barges over there. The only way we could get an aerial was by taking one from one of the services because Hogs can't fly his drone that close to the
Yeah,
base.
I have to get approval to fly close to NAS.
They like to
Corpus.
take their time on those approvals too.
Yeah,
It's not
oh,
a
yeah.
quick process.
Quinn Hendrick with Costa Bend Bays and Estuaries, Frank De La Rosa, Tyler Thorson, Dale Rankin. My name is Jacob Oggs. Special thanks to Ted Mandel, Dotson Lewis, and Terrence Johnson for joining us. We're here every Thursday. We will catch you guys on Island Time, and stay tuned, guys. We'll talk soon.